Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Oh, let's try that again. We had internet problems. Out in the country here, a bird probably sat on a wire somewhere. Krishna. 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 It is all about the chanting. Hey, Haribol. A bird sat on a wire. Internet went out. Krishna. Krishna. It is all about the chanting. It's all about the chanting. Hare Krishna. Krishna. So accept everything favorable for chanting, for Krishna. So prasadam, offering food to Krishna to control the tongue. So his tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. It does two things, Krishna. Like, is considering the senses, each one, they only do one thing. The eyes see, the ears hear, like nose smell, etc. But the tongue, it does two things. It tastes and it vibrates. And it's pretty powerful, but it's got that twofold function. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yeah, purify the tongue. By tasting food that's offered to Krishna, then the tongue will speak Krishna. And it's so that if all someone can do is just eat prasadam or honor prasadam, they can eat their way back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Hey Krishna, Haribol. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Talking about the tongue and how it's all about the chanting. Hare Krishna. So reading from Nectar Instruction. It's the Upadesha Amrta of Rupa Goswami. It's only 18 verses, and it goes from very elementary, introductory kind of verses to the perfection, summum bonum. I think it's like 18 verses. I think it's 18, maybe it's 16. 11 verses. So this is the third verse. The first one was the qualifications of a spiritual master, and he controls the urge to speak, he controls the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, can make disciples all over the world. And then yesterday, the second verse, the things that spoil devotional service. When someone becomes too entangled in eating more than necessary, collecting more funds than required, and in the purport, Prabhupada says, in that category of collecting more money than needed is also trying to get more knowledge about everything that is needed. Over endeavoring for mundane things, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. If it's Krishna, talk up a storm, but this talking unnecessarily is about mundane things like politics, viruses, royal families. You won't find Lord Chaitanya talking about these things. Hare Krishna. Sorry, if you want to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you don't talk about those things. He's not interested in those things. Actually, King Prataparudra was the king at the time, and he was a great devotee. He was a pure devotee of the Lord. And he wanted darshan with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a sannyasi, and Prataparudra was in the royal order, and his duties meant managing the kingdom. And he was living like a king. He was a king. He had, his queens, and he had his son, and the prince, and there's a pastime with the prince also. And he wanted darshan with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, I don't want anything to do with kings. Nothing to do with them. Anything to do with pounds, shillings, pence. That was their currency, right? No anything to do with the money thing. No anything to do with politics. No anything to do with that, Chaitanya. You wouldn't even talk to him. Not necessarily talking about those things. He just didn't even want to have somebody come who was engaged in those activities. The poor king, he couldn't help it. It was part of being a king, But he was a pure devotee. But he was just, like Arjuna was a soldier, but he was a pure devotee of Krishna. But Chaitanya didn't even want him in his presence, no. But the devotees arranged a secret meeting. The king, he took off all his kingly stuff, and he put on a simple, like he was a mendicant or a brahmachari or something, or a simple householder, very plain. And they found a place where Lord Chaitanya was resting very peacefully. The king went in, and he got darshan with the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. Politics. Bad. Hey Jocelyn, Hare Krishna. Practicing scriptural rules and regulations for the sake of following them, and not for spiritual advancement, or rejecting rules and regulations and working independently, and whatever it is, it's okay. It's not. Associating with worldly-minded persons that are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. So those were 6 things that are listed as unfavorable. Those are the don'ts. Now these are the do's. This is the 3rd verse. This is 6 things that are favorable for Krishna consciousness. Utsahan nishchayat daryat tat karma pravartanat sangat yagat satovate sadvir bhakti prasidati. There are 6 things favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. This is pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles. And here in parenthesis,